it's supposed to feel.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel?
How's it supposed to feel?
How's it supposed to feel?
Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Jam Session. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, because this will be a podcast as well as a show. So I'm excited about this because it has been a while since the Jam Session has been around. I wanted to bring back a classic, and for those of you who are watching for the first time, listening for the first time, I used to have a show on WQUB 90.3 FM in Quincy, Illinois called The Jam Session, where I would introduce musicians' songs, I would talk about their albums, I would give a little bit of history about the bands or the musician, and I wanted to bring that back. Not that the Jam Session Goes Underground is a terrible show. I enjoy doing that show, but I wanted to do the classic version of that show for a change. The guest that I have on today's episode has been on the Jam Session Goes Underground. His name is Martin Williams. He is a singer-songwriter from England. So I always enjoy having him on the show. He is very, very talented. I love his music. And today's episode was his idea. He brought an idea to me, and I really, really enjoyed the idea. So I'm going to give him credit for today's episode because it was his idea. We're going to be talking about how music is the universal language. He's in England, and I'm here in the United States. I am in Georgia. And so we're going to be talking about protest songs and music of our youth, and how it affected us and influenced us. We're also going to be talking about how artists that we grew up with, musicians even of today, has influenced our creative process in writing, has influenced, maybe my poetry, or has influenced Martin's music. Also, we're going to be talking about, like I said, how British artists have influenced and affected me, and how American artists have influenced and affected him. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Martin. But before I do that, if you are listening, you're not going to be able to see the visual credits. I do need to say that today's show is not sponsored by Netflix, but if you heard the intro song, that is a song by Netflix. He's really, really talented, very creative. He's going to actually be in Atlanta in December. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you should check him out. He does copyright-free music, and I just really enjoy listening to him. But without further ado, may I introduce you to Martin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. that introduction.
Yeah, I sound quite good, don't I?
I always enjoy having you on my show, though. You are welcome back anytime, because I always enjoy listening to your music. I always enjoy chatting with you. It's just a conversation among friends, I would say. And it's just, wow, what the internet can do. Like, you're all the way in England and here I am in the United States, and we're able to communicate. And
Yeah,
so
it's one
your
thing that modern technology is good at.
your idea for today's show, I fell in love with the idea, and I thought that would be an interesting topic, because you do write political songs yourself, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today's topic is very,
Uh,
very good one. It's going to be an interesting topic. I have like little notebook here. I have written down notes, and I don't usually do that for shows, but for this particular show, I felt that I might as well, so that I don't have moments of trying to think. So like I said, music is a universal language, and that's what you had said. And I really, truly do believe that, because it doesn't matter if the musician is British or if the musician's in the United States. Like, it's a universal language. It connects us, and we can feel the musician's emotions through their music. They have a story to tell, and we're all able to listen to that story and connect through the music and through their story. And I really appreciate that music is a universal language. What are your takes on music and how it affects you?
My takes on music, it's used for all sorts of manners of variety. People worship with it. People join together in community and sing together, to lift the spirits. And also, I think it's well used as a tool for, should we say, pointing out some of the wrongs in the world. And this is where we're coming from, the songs of protest. I'm not a very big reader. I don't read that many books. Hardly ever read a newspaper. So a lot of my adolescence time, it was messages through music that sort of like opened my eyes to the world. Going back, listening to my parents' records from the 50s and 60s, the stuff I was listening to in the 70s and 80s. Various artists have influenced me and, shall we say, formed my political view out on the world. It's very easy to get caught up in the stardom and the pop star stuff, but there's a lot of artists out there who have got a lot to say, and I think they say it very well through the music. Also, a lot of them write columns or books and things like that, but as I say, I'm not a very big reader. So a lot in my early years, my education actually came through music, learning about history, learning about like the civil rights movement in your country, the trade union movement in my country, all was sort of like documented by songwriters of the time.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, that's a good leeway into what I wrote down on my little notepad here. Like, some of the songs of my youth, you have "The Wind of Change" by the Scorpions. And it says in the song, it's about the fall of the Berlin Wall. And in the song, it says, "Did you ever think that we could be so close, like brothers? The future's in the air, can feel it everywhere, blowing with the wind of changes." That's a pretty powerful song, and I remember being little, like, and seeing that on the news, and that's one of the protest songs that impacted me. It still impacts me to this day. Like, it's a song that is very, very powerful with its wording. It's a personal song for the band members as well, because they came from West Germany. So yeah, like, there have been quite a few political protest songs during my youth that have affected me, and still do to this day. Growing up with that, growing up with the television and watching all those events unfold and then hearing the songs that come from those events.
Yeah, the same happens to me. I remember the Berlin Wall coming down myself. I was 17 years old. I was actually in a pub illegally, having a drink with a few friends, and it came up on the news on the television when the whether the East Germans or the West Germans started knocking lumps out the wall, and you gradually see it fall. Things, big periods of time, things in our history that happened recently, have been documented by like West Windsor Change, and also when we were growing up, it was I think both our countries had a paranoia about communism. We saw Russia as this evil state. Now, what they're doing now, yeah, they probably are. But when I was growing up, like we saw this. There's a view of the Russians through our media and probably through your media is this cold, stoic state, and the people were oppressed and things like that. Yeah. But I think that was far from the truth. There's a lot of where there's dark, there's going to be light. There's there must be thousands and millions of nice people in Russia. It's just this usual thing. It's the people who rule the bloody country are complete and utter, pardon me French, but assholes.
Yeah.
And it happens in my country, it happens in your country. It seems the ones, what I can't understand, we're fairly intelligent people, but we always seem to vote in idiots to rule our countries. And that's a lot what my songs are about, Why? Yeah. why have we voted for them again? There's 3 million unemployed people, this, that, and other. Our health service is on its knees, and you've got them in again to drag us deeper, further into the hole. And that's where my songs come from mostly, and being influenced by the songwriters before me, in the same thing 40 or 50 years before me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, music is so powerful that it can influence us in different ways. And, these musicians, the people who create the music, they have a lot to say, and people need to take the time to actually listen to the lyrics, not just the melody along with the lyrics. They need to actually listen to the lyrics, because a lot of times these bands speak the truth and they have a lot to say. Guns N' Roses is another band that they sung a song called Civil War, which was an anti-war song. Quite possibly has some of the most powerful as well as most honest lyrics in protest of war. It came out in the 1990s, and some of their lyrics is, "I don't need your civil war, it feeds the rich while it buries the poor." I think that's a very, very powerful statement, and it references President Kennedy's assassination, which that still impacts us to this day, as well as the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Battle in the United States. So there's so many different songs. Like, I could go on and on and on about all the musicians that have sung different songs about war and protesting war. Another interesting one, which they created the Americanized version of it, is 99 Luftballons, which was released in 1983 by the German band Nina. It was about balloons triggering a nuclear war. The Cold War was on everyone's mind during the 1980s, and as Western powers began to once again push the Soviet Union into tearing down the Berlin Wall, because we had spoken about that a while ago. It had stood since the country erected in 1961. The wall would eventually be torn down in 1989. This song was so popular in Germany that they did an Americanized version of it, and they played it on MTV. They played both versions on MTV, and it got it to different locations. Yeah. Like it spanned a lot more volume.
I've actually played that song. I just can't remember all the words. It's like the beginning. It's like, You and I in a little toy shop, buy a bag of balloons with the money we've got, set them free at the break of day, and one by one they were gone. Sparks and sparks in the software, cast a message, there's something out there, there's something in the winter sky. There's 99 red balloons go by. Then it go, but I can't remember the whole song. I'll have to have the lyrics. But I loved that song as a kid. I loved that song. It was I was just starting high school when that came out.
Yeah.
And I want to be a musician. You listen to it, and I like the synthesizers and the bass guitar. First time I ever heard a slap bass guitar, ding ding, wow, what's that? And things like that spark your own creative juices. It's and this is how I've learned my music, by listening to different artists and different genres, and picking out what I like, and I can do that. That seems a bit hard, but that's. But I remember that song very well, and a few of the others you've mentioned. I must confess, with the Guns N' Roses one, when the Use Your Illusion albums came out, I sort of turned away from them, because I really enjoyed Appetite for Destruction. But I didn't particularly enjoy the Use Your Illusion one or two. There's some good songs on them, but it was too long-winded for me. Like they sort of the next album was 2 double albums.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Well, with the 99 Luft balloons, a lot of times, like it didn't get a very good direct translation in the English language. And the reason why I say that is because Luft balloons means air balloons in English. So most of us believe that the color red was added to the title because of the close association it has with communism. So I thought that was interesting whenever I was doing
I just saw it as some kids buying a bag of balloons, blowing them up and letting them go, and it caused nuclear war. And that was the paranoia of what we were growing up with at the time. Because we was at the back end of the Second World War, so there was still the old Second World War air raid sirens going off when I was a kid, and it was, the Russians are coming, and it's not. No, they're just factory hooters. They're just using the old air raid things. For factory was the only time they did use the air raid sheds. Was we had I hate saying this word, but we had a mental asylum just down the road from us, and if any of them escaped, the air raid asylum went off. But that's long since gone. But that's another part of British history that should be looked into and probably wrote about, and it probably has been.
Yeah, I just, I mean, I know how I grew up in the United States, and it's probably quite different how you grew up in England and in the UK. We have different versions of the same story, I guess you would say. It's interesting to hear about, how the protest music was written, like, British protest music versus American protest music. Sometimes they cross paths and they tell the same story, and they're again, music is a language, like a universal language that we can all speak and connect upon.
Well, I think the protest song per se started in America, in your country, with Pete Seeger, and then because he was very prolific songwriter, very high up with the civil rights movement, and basically was persecuted by your government at the time, thinking he was a communist, just because he had, shall we say, left of field views, which a lot of us do. I'm on the left side of the political wing, but I'm not a communist. I am a socialist, but I'm not a communist. And there's
Yeah.
two different things. Basically, in my way of thinking, a socialist wants a better world for everybody. Communism wants a better world for the select few.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's the same thing. Fascism and communism are just the same, just on the far poles.
Yeah.
And I sort of like sit in the middle. I understand that you have to work to earn your money to live, but at the end of the day, if you've got a little bit extra, why don't we put it aside to help the people who can't help themselves? And a lot of people can't understand that. It's the greed side of it. Oh, I've earned it, I keep it, which I can understand. I can understand that. But I say at the end of the day, I earn my money, I pay taxes, and a thing what we call national insurance. Now, the national insurance part of it goes for our social welfare fund in this country. So, for instance, if I go into hospital, I don't have to pay anything. Last year,
wow.
I had an operation done on my right knee last year. It cost me now. Probably for you in your country to have the same operation, it'll probably cost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's because generations of our country have paid into this national insurance. So the thing is, what my dad's paid in when he was working has probably paid for my knee. Now, what I'm paying in for will probably pay for my kids' pensions when they retire.
Oh, wow.
And, I remember when President Obama was trying to bring something in the same in your country, and your country just went, oh, no way, whoa. Was it Palin was the woman, the far right, and she said, like, basically, what we have is we choose people today. No, our healthcare is free at the point of reception. There's a few things we have to pay for, but if, say, for instance, if I break my leg, I'm straight into hospital, fixed up, thrown on a ward, thrown out when I'm ready. It costs me out. But in real terms, it costs me £100 a month because that's what I pay for my national insurance. Where your insurance companies rip you right off, don't they?
Yeah. You're not.
And if you don't,
You're-
and if you don't have medical insurance, basically you're up a certain creek without a certain paddle.
Yeah. Yep. You are not incorrect. It is terrible in this country with medical. Like I had to get an MRI, and it was very much needed because I could have gone into sepsis, and so I had to have an MRI in the hospital, and that is going to cost me $7,000. So, I mean, it's ridiculous what we have to pay for medical care in this country.
Over the last 10 years, I've had 4 MRIs on my knees.
Yeah.
Cost me £1.20 for the park to park my car on the hospital car park. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I really wish it was that way here. Like, and then I would not have as much stress. I would not have as much stress. It's terrible here. I know that I had worked with somebody when I worked at the television station who is from Canada, and they were saying that they didn't have to pay for their medical care. And I'm like, I need to move to Canada. That's what you're telling me, is I just need to move.
I mean, it's so easy to do because our national health system our social welfare system was brought in 1947, just after World War II, and they did it, and basically for 78 years now, we've had this social work. So if you end out to work, the government pay you a little bit of money to keep you going until you find work again.
Oh wow!
Now,
yeah.
Now what I'm saying, I'm going to say a little bit of money, they do look after you. I like you say, this is another bugbear of mine, is where I know people haven't worked since they left school. They've been on what we call on the dole, as we call it. They've been on the dole for 30, 40 years, but they're living. They've got the same things, well, nearly the same things as me. They'll never own a house, whatever, but they can afford to have a drink. They can afford to have a smoke. They've got a colour telly and a phone. And that's basically what I pay into the pot. What keeps them going. So sometimes it's annoying that some people cheat the system, but the system is there. Say, for instance, like when I had my knee done, I was 8 months off work. My sick pay at work run out, so I had to claim benefits, the dole money, for 4 weeks to tie me over until I went back into work. I got it, and that was the first time in 30 years I've ever claimed anything like that. I was unemployed in my early youth for 18 months. I was, but that's when probably both our economies went through the floor. There was just no work unless you were very lucky. But you say you find work and you carry on. But we pay a little bit each week or each month to go into this little social care fund to help people who are less fortunate than us. Or if you end up on hard times, you've got support there. So that's what it is. Comparisons between two countries. Like some of the medical procedures I've had, I would hate to go had them in your country.
Yeah, it's pretty rough here, I'll be honest. Like, me and my husband had COVID for a week, and neither one of us had like any leave pay. Like, we weren't gonna get paid while we were out sick. Like, we didn't have sick pay. So we lost like a week's worth of wages off of both of our checks, and we're still trying to recuperate from that.
It's say I'm very lucky that I do get sick pay, but there's a lot of people who I work with who don't.
Yeah, it's pretty rough sometimes. I guess we'll go into how American musicians have influenced you.
Well, so I said about him before. Pete Seeger was probably one of the first American singer-songwriters I heard through my parents' records, and then there was like Bob Dylan and the American folk bands. What my dad was into, Peter, Paul, and Mary. There was a few others which I can't remember. Then coming through the 60s, it was the likes of the Byrds. The Byrds were because they sort of like bounced off the Beatles. The Beatles did something, the Byrds sort of like did the American version of it. So that was my early influence. And then coming up to the modern day, R.E.M. were probably the biggest influence on me, Americanly, music-wise. But there's a lot of things that fed through, like the early hip-hop scene, which came over from yours. The very early scene was quite influential. It was just another different form of folk music to me that spoke of the plight of young Americans in the 80s. But as I said, a lot of the American influences came to this country basically through the Second World War, when your GIs were based all around bases around here, and they brought the records over and the big band sound, and it fed into our society then. And then when the Beatles started out, basically they were going down to the docks at Liverpool to the sailors who come back from America and buying all the blues records off them, but they bought over there. And them dockers used to be known as Cunard Yanks. So every time a Cunard boat came in from New York, there was all these young lads from Liverpool bands waiting there to buy all these blues records, which they took home, learned. So, Chuck Berry and all that was played around Liverpool, and I bet Chuck Berry didn't even know about it until the Beatles made it and went back over to, when the British invasion started in America. And basically, which I love about it, is that the Beatles sort of took black music back over to America to for the white American audience to listen to. This is from your country. What? And so that's all fed into my what's the word I'm looking for? Inspiration for music. And the same on the folk scene. There was a lot of American folk songs sang in this country. Then a lot of my parents' generation was saying, well, we're singing American folk songs, let's find some of our own, which they did. And that's when your folk revival started, then ours started, then it sort of intertwined and coming in and out. So you know, like likes of our folk singers going over to America, Bob Dylan and all the lads from America and ladies from America coming over and doing that. And the folks in the 60s and 70s was massive over in this country. It probably was in your country as well.
Yeah.
So that's the word I was looking for. That's what influenced me. Listening to my parents' records, listening to, you know, the radio, listening to pop music. And when I started school, then the popular culture started coming through. You know, like I learned about what was the hip and hot. You know, like when I was at school, was it you know, bands like Duran Duran were just starting off. When I was at junior school, 76. So it was disco and all that when I first started school. So I'm just trying to think the other Bee Gees stuff, which is a British band, but it was American influenced. Boney M, I think they were British, but you know, American disco came over. And basically, I think with the music, the American deer, we listen to it, we make our own version of it, then we sell it back to you.
Yes, that works. Growing up, my parents didn't listen to too many British musicians. I have to be honest. We listened to a lot of American musicians, but that's not to say that British musicians haven't influenced me. Billy Idol comes to mind. You know, he was with Generation X, and what inspires me about his music is, you know, it's kind of rebellious. Like, it was rebellious music, it was punk music during a time that it wasn't really popular here. And I really appreciate that he brought that to the United States. He, you know, his band Generation X didn't really work out so well, so he moved to New York and reinvented it himself and kind of brought some of the British punk music and some of his influence there to the United States. And I really, really respect that about him. I love his music so much. I actually got to see him in concert not too long ago, and I absolutely adore Billy Idol. I think he's very, very talented, and he brings a lot to the table of music.
Where I sort of like grew up in the generation of punks, it was the bands like the Clash, the Damned, the Stranglers, Sex Pistols.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, our version of punk was really grim. You know, basically, if you were in a punk band, you used to come off stage covered in spit because the audience just used to spit at you. And I think in America, the punk was more fashion than music.
Yeah.
They did the fashion side of it, but the actual punk movements over here was it was basically, as you say, it was rebellion. It was kids rebelling against the likes of Pink Floyd, David Bowie, all the established artists, all the big prog rock bands. You're the ones who can do 25-minute guitar solos and things like that.
Yeah.
And they just wanted, basically, if you wanted, if you wanted to make music in the sort of like late 60s, early 70s, you had to be a virtuoso on your instruments and study classical music somewhere in Switzerland. And punk basically brought it back to the 3-chord burn.
Yeah.
You know, this is all sod you, which I totally agree with. You know, don't get me wrong, I like all Pink Floyd stuff and some of the big prog rock bands, but there's something about 3 chords and the truth, isn't there? There is 3 chords and the truth, and that's what it's all about to me. And but sometimes I do shove a 4th chord in.
Yeah. That works. And of course, I can't mention Billy Idol without mentioning more modern musician Kelsey Carter. She's from New Zealand, but she is the front woman for a British Australian band, Kelsey Carter and the Heroines. She actually opened for Billy Idol at this concert that I caught, and what I love about her music is it's very, very raw and it gets to the bones of things and it tells you her story and you can feel the emotions that she has when she's telling you her story through her music. And I really respect and appreciate that. I think that makes a musician like, you know, makes their work a masterpiece. And I really respect and appreciate that.
Yeah, I suppose if you're willing to wear your heart on your sleeve and bare your soul, to me, I think there are more better musicians. You know, the stuff I listen to, like on this side, Billy Bragg. I don't know if he's gone over the pond, but he's he started out in the punk era, but he was a punk protest singer, and I know he must have gone to America because he's done a lot of Woody Guthrie stuff now, and he's actually he performed with Michael Stipe, and the guitarist out of R.E.M. played on one of his records when I was in the early 90s. You woke up my neighborhood. So Michael Stipe was singing the harmonies to that, which I couldn't hit. But that was like he writes some bloody good songs, straight to the bone, no frills. For the early part of his career, it was just him and an electric guitar, slightly distorted electric guitar, banging it out. And I like that. I like that style.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you keep mentioning REM. I feel the need to say that they are based out of Athens, Georgia. They met in Athens, Georgia, which is not too far from me. I've actually had the honor of talking to one of their former managers before with my station manager. So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. I love REM. They're awesome. I really like their music and their style. I guess another British musician who has influenced me is David Bowie. I have to mention David Bowie. And I think that the reason why I appreciate him so much is he's very androgynous and he was very, very like always reinventing himself. Like he was always reinventing himself through his music, and he has been an inspiration to a lot of the modern day musicians. He was kind of like a chameleon. He would adapt. And like I said, very androgynous. He was, you know, always trying to do new things. And I really appreciate that he was, you know, not afraid to try new things and always reinventing himself.
Well, he's way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time. You know, he started out in the folk clubs in London in 1966.
Oh wow!
And then he slowly started progressing into the like the David Bowie, know him, but he was singing folk clubs. And then he started. Then when Space Oddity came out in '69, I don't think it was that great a success, but that's what kick-starting up. Then it came up to Ziggy Stardust. Then the what was after Ziggy, I can't remember, but he went on to the where he was before he died. But you know, there was the bit in the Berlin sessions in the '70s where Heroes and all that came out of the White Dukey, they called them, weren't it? Yeah. So as you said, he kept on. Basically, he didn't become a throwback on himself. You know what I mean? You get bands that were hip in the 50s and 60s, and they don't progress past the 50s and 60s. He went with the generation, you know, with the time and the different genres. So starting off an acoustic guitar, and by the end of it, it was like, you know, full blown band synthesizers and all sorts. But as you said, yeah, he kept on reinventing himself. And Madonna was the same. She was another one that sort of recycle herself through her career. I don't know where she's up to now, but from when she started in I think it was the late '70s, she came here in the early '80s, and then she went on had an amazing career. She's somewhere probably at the back end of her career. I don't know if she is or not, but she's doing a tour now, and she all the greatest hits and that and whatever. But There's another artist, so she was probably influenced by Bowie for that, reinventing yourself. So I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on pop music, but you'd say a lot of the big artists that came out of this country and took over the world, like the Dire Straits and all that. You know, even Eric Clapton, all right, he was more blues club, but they all started as young kids on an acoustic scene somewhere, and gradually built themselves up to the superstars, megastars, brilliant musicians they are.
Yeah, I can really appreciate people who have humble beginnings. You know, there are so many bands and so many musicians that I could say that for that had very, very humble beginnings. And, you know, I like that story. I like hearing that story of where they began, and maybe, you know, they had to struggle and work very, very hard to get to where they are now.
Well, I'll just ask you the question. Don't you think they're the better musicians? The ones that started, like the Beatles, that started in a cellar, a jazz club cellar in Liverpool, were basically there was more moisture inside the club than it was raining outside.
Yeah.
And like the likes of Eric Clapton started off in the blues clubs. David Bowie started in backstreet pubs.
Yeah.
They become the better musicians because they've worked their way up.
Yeah.
But now you get all the things like we've got in this country, X Factor, American Idol. They seem to start at the top and work their way down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have you can have this. So they play the big stadiums first. But when they get into the real world and actually have to work to become a musician, they realise it's not. You have to start in the flea pits and singing to one person and his dog in the audience, and hoping the dog doesn't join in with the chorus.
Yeah. I appreciate the ones who have had to work from the bottom to get to the top. I appreciate them so much more. Not to say that I don't respect and appreciate people who, you know, started out at the top, but there's so much more to the stories of the musicians who have, you know, worked from the bottom up. I respect those stories a lot more.
Yeah, I do too. You know, don't get me wrong. They have found some decent musicians and singers with these talent shows.
Yeah.
But it's giving young kids the wrong impression about making music.
Yeah.
It's not appearing on a television show scantily clad and whittling your bits about. It's actually have to pick, and you know, if you want to play an instrument, learn how to play your instruments. The hours of sweat and tears you put into that, the learning your craft, how to hold an audience, how to entertain, and that's what you learn basically in the rough, hard clubs. It's very, you know, I suppose if I went into a television studio and did a few songs, I'll probably find it fairly easy.
Yeah.
But it's when you're doing a backstreet pub where nobody wants to listen to you and you have to win them over, and that's how you learn your craft.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any of your political songs prepared for us?
Yes, I do. I'm just going to swap guitar.
However, whatever works best.
No, I just cheat. That's in normal tuning. This is in open D. And I'm going to start off with one of my political songs, but it's about your gun laws in America. I wrote it just after there was a mass shooting in a cinema when it was a Batman movie that came out, and some person went into the cinema and shot them all up. And I was listening to the news. It was weird. I was listening to the news report, and I just bought a Johnny Cash CD. So I was like listening to this report of this mass shooting yet again in America coming in, and I was listening to another person who's influenced me, Johnny Cash. I forgot about him. I was listening to this Johnny Cash CD, and this song sort of came into my head while I was listening. I had to get a pen and piece of paper and was starting writing the lyrics down. And then later the tune came. It's called Shoot. And I'll be totally blunt about it. I just don't understand why Americans have to own guns. I don't know why they have to. It's in your constitution. You've got the right to bear arms. Fair enough. When America was first incepted in the 1600s, yes, I can understand that. But today, in the modern society, to me, if a civilian has to be armed, you haven't got faith in your civil defence authorities.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't understand. We both had military careers. So you were in the military. I was served in the army for a bit as well. I haven't touched a gun since I've left the army. You know what I mean? That was my tool. That was my tool for my job. All right, I wasn't a full-time regular soldier. I was only a part-time territorial soldier. But the thing is, what about being a territorial is, I did it on an evening and a weekend. I could take my uniform off, go home and be a normal human being. But, yes, I was willing to serve my country, and I still would do if I was fit and healthy, which I'm not now. But if they asked me to go back, I would.
Yeah.
But this is my weapon of choice.
Yeah.
This is my weapon of choice. I've got no weapons in my house. All I've got is tools. I've got hammers, chisels, whatever, but I haven't got any weapons. And I just can't understand how an intelligent race needs them. So I'll sing the song. Small town movie show or university faculty, busy shopping mall or anywhere you see. So I'd never crack the right to own these guns and be free. So come on baby, come and shoot with me. Shoot baby shoot, come and shoot with me. So I never cried in the right to own these guns and be free. Shoot, baby, shoot, come and shoot with me. It's written in the Constitution, girl, so come and shoot with me. Misguided youth or disgruntled employee, on a mission from God or alone in society. It's all part of the American dream. So come on baby, come and shoot with me. Yeah, shoot baby shoot, come and shoot with me. It's our democratic right to own these guns and be free. Shoot baby shoot, come and shoot with me. It's written in the Constitution, girl, so come and shoot with me. Now we live in the land of the free, with peace and democracy. We've got the right to defend ourselves and our property. The only way to stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. So come on, baby, yeah, shoot, baby, shoot, come and shoot with me. Starting getting it right to own these guns and be free. Shoot, baby, shoot, come and shoot with me. It's written in the Constitution, girl, so come and shoot with me. Now, those lefty loonies want to take our guns away. How can they do that to us? What the Charter Texans say. How we keep those terrorists and commies at bay. Just few more rounds now, babe. Let's show them way. Yeah, shoot, baby, shoot. Come and shoot with me. So I dedicate right to all these guns and be free. Yeah, shoot, baby, shoot. Come and shoot with me. It's written in the Constitution, girl, so come and shoot with me. Oh, shoot, baby, shoot. Come and shoot with me. So I democratic right to all these guns and be free. Shoot, baby, shoot. Come and shoot with me. It's written in the Constitution, girl, so come and shoot with me. Come and shoot with me. Come and shoot with me.
Really, really good song. Very well written. And I like the style of music that you play. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
I remember when that shooting happened. I remember hearing about it, and it was in social media for days upon days upon days. Like, I remember hearing about it, and it's really, really sad that you can't go to a movie theater without something like that happening. And it's really, really sad that we feel the need to carry guns here in this country. I don't believe in weapons. I don't have weapons in my home either. It's not something that I believe in.
Yeah. Well, say it's a sad state of affairs that you can't even go to school in your country without a fear of somebody being shot, because there's actually an American duo that a folk duo live over here now. I don't know if you've ever come across them. They're called Truck Stop Honeymoon. Brilliant band. But the reason why they emigrated from America were they actually in Wales, was when the kids came home from school, the dad asked them, well, what do you do at school today? Oh, we learned how to go into the safe room just in case any bad men come with guns. And it was like, wow. And that's what him and his wife said, right, that's it, we're getting out of here. Our kids are not being brought up like with this. And they ended up in this country, in Wales, actually, which is not far from where I live, but it's if you get England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, that's the United Kingdom. So they're actually in Wales, but it's a different country to where I live, which is England.
Yeah.
There's your geography lesson.
Geography lesson for today. Yeah, like, my daughter is homeschooled because I don't feel comfortable sending her to public school. And she has told me, like, she's been very, very honest about it. Mom, I don't want to go back to public school because I have to worry about COVID. I have to worry about, people maybe bullying me. I have to worry about this and that. And I mean, that's really sad that a kid, especially of her age, even needs to have that thought cross their mind.
But on the other hand is she's losing out on the social reactions. The friends you make when you go to school. I'm still in contact with a few of my friends from school who are musicians all around the world. She's missing out on that social side.
Yeah,
it's part of school life, and it'll be. I'm not going to sort of like normalize. Bullying's horrible. I was bullied, but it's where you. I suppose it's where you learn to be toughen up. I suppose if you can survive high school, you can survive the adult world. Because let's face it, kids are horrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
you're horrible. And so the thing is, I was bullied. But I remember walking out the school gates, me, my friend, and he was with his girlfriend at the time. I was, with my guitar case, walking. Last day of school, we'd just done a music exam. And basically, we just looked at each other, Christ, what we're going to do now? And we went off into the sunset sort of thing. But I made a vow to myself. I didn't say it to the company. As I walked through them school gates, I made a promise to myself: I will never be bullied again.
Yeah.
I will never ever. That's done. I'm going out into the big bad world now. No bugger's going to bully me now. And to be honest, people have tried, but what I learned from the bullying at school is how to notice when somebody is trying to bully you, and that's when you either stand up for yourself, or you just fight back with wit and intelligence and make them look like a right idiot. And it's the part of the thing in school that you're not supposed to learn, but you learn. You go there to learn how to read and write and think and things like that. But my schooling was learning how to survive human beings. So when I took it out into the real world, academically I didn't do well. I went straight into work, and I would say, I've learned more on the shop floor on a factory than I ever did in a school.
Yeah. And I can believe that. Like, I feel the same way. You know, I was kind of bullied in school, and when I went off to college, like, I started learning to play the guitar. Like, I learned how to play the guitar at 19. So I started a little bit later in life than most, but it kind of helped. Like, it helped a lot. It helped me to become more outspoken and, you know, not let people push me around.
Well, when it comes to learning musical instruments, it's never too late. It's never too late to learn. And if I was in charge of the world's education, the first thing I would say to every kid has to learn how to play a musical instrument. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a guitar, it could be a drum, anything. As long, because it gives you a discipline, it gives you something to focus your mind on.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
every kid likes music. They've all got their favorite pop song. Now, wouldn't it be great if they could learn how to play a certain instrument to play that famous pop song? That's why we started, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wanted to be John Lennon. That's why I took up a guitar. No, it worked out for me, but that's how it is. And through that, the influences of likes of John Lennon, Bob Dylan, they were the ones who were like, well, they wrote their own songs, so why can't I? So I give it a go. And
exactly.
100 odd songs down the line, I don't know if I cracked it or not, but I think I've wrote a few decent ones, and some people seem to like them. So
I like them.
Yeah. So that's mission accomplished. And it's a good talking point when you're at work or you're out socially with friends. Oh, can you play that on guitar? Can you do this? Can you do it? When's your next gig? It's all part of your social makeup. Instead of stuck at home playing on a computer game.
I have to admit, like, most of my friends are either, musicians, or they write books, or they do drawings. They're creative in some sort of way. Like, all of the people that I socialize with are creative. And, Willow, my daughter, she likes to do art, and she loves music. Like, she's, I try to teach her the ukulele from time to time, and she does have a guitar that I do want to get her lessons on. I don't think that I could be giving the lessons because I'm not good at that sort of thing, but I think that, if she gets lessons at some point in the future, that would be good for her.
You can start her off, can't you? You can teach her the basics, then you find the right teacher for her to take her up to the next level. It's same with my son now is playing rock and roll around the country. My second oldest son, he plays in a band called Chicken Man and the Bad Eggs. Look him up on Spotify. They've got about 8 singles on Spotify now. And this is a proud father moment for me, because a couple of weeks ago he supported a band called Inspiral Carpets. I don't know, have you heard of them yet? Well, that was the first band I ever went to watch live in my hometown. Just before they made it big,
Oh wow.
They played the local music venue in my hometown, and yeah, that was a great night. I went to watch another band who were friends of mine, a band called the Volunteers, which have morphed into a band called Merry Hell now. But I went to watch this band called the Volunteers because I heard they were the next big thing, and
Oh wow.
they were supporting the Spiral Carpets. Spiral Carpets made it. I don't know where the Volunteers folded. Then it went into another band called the Tanzas, which should have made it big, but they never did. And now they're Merry Hell, and they are doing brilliant stuff on the British folk scene. They are absolutely.
Oh wow.
They've hit the strap. They hit the straps. But they started right at the bottom as a weird, wonderful alternative rock band, and they've sort of mellowed out to their old, to my age, 50 odd. They've mellowed out into this absolutely brilliant folk rock band. But my son supported this band who I first went to, I first saw.
Wow.
And, wow. And,
wow. That is.
And the thing is, some people's like some of the lads who I work with, I bet you're dead jealous of your son. He's doing a lot better with his music than you are. Said, no, I'm not. I'm pleased for him. I should have done that at his age instead of having him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that so much. That's wonderful.
For your listeners out there, if you go onto Spotify, or I think he's on a few other streaming sites, and just type in Chicken Man and the Bad Eggs, I think they've got 7 or 8 singles out. Have a listen to them. They're brilliant.
Oh,
totally
wow.
different to what I play. They're how can I don't want to put a because they are completely original, but they've got the edge of the Arctic Monkeys. Some of the young lads at work told me, "Oh, they sound like the Arctic Monkeys." Well, I'll take your word for that.
Oh wow!
Honestly, they're brilliant. And the other funniest thing was when I actually went to saw my son play live in one of the local pubs in our hometown. He made me feel really old.
Oh, oh no!
I turned up at his gig. Like I've been to hundreds of gigs. Turned up in a gig, all togged up, and I was stood at the bar with his stepdad, and we just looked round the room. And it was these scantily clad young ladies jigging around, dancing everywhere, young lads, and we just looked at us. Christ, we're too old for this, aren't we? Just have a drink. Funny thing is, I played the same pub a couple of weeks later, and I was, I'm going to enjoy this. There's going to be all these young ladies and everything. Turned up, it was a middle-aged audience.
That's great. Oh, that's funny.
But he's doing great guns, and say the thing is, have I been an influence on him? I don't know. He's always loved music. He was always a brilliant singer. He asked me to teach him how to play guitar, which I taught him the basics. And then I said, look, why don't you get a teacher? He said, the £20 an hour. I went, all right, I'll teach you. So I taught him the basics. Then he started hanging around with musicians, and they brought him on. You know what I mean? Like the way he wants to play. But I'm really chuffed. He's doing great guns, and
that's incredible.
And he basically started off his music by listening to my music in the car, or me strumming in the house when we were a family before. I split up with his mother, but that's sort of like fed into his DNA, I suppose, and he's off doing what he does now, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. Probably the same thing will happen to your daughter. She'll probably end up a brilliant drawer or a graphic designer or even a presenter on a massive TV show. You don't know, do you? So plenty of time for him. Just say, encourage them, but don't leave your dreams through them. That's what my mum always said to me. She said, encourage them, but don't leave your dreams through your kids. Let them find their own way in life, like me and your dad did to you. We just let you go out there and find out. And if we saw you making some mistakes, we'll drag you back. And that's what I did. And all my kids are doing brilliant. Like I say, I did have 4 kids. I did have 4 children. One died 10 years ago. So I've got 3 left, and they're all doing brilliant in their own fields. My youngest son's just left university, graduated from university. Oh, wow. My daughter's fully employed, enjoying the freedom of work, I suppose. She's
that's good.
Decent size. She works hard. She gets some money. She can go and enjoy herself. But her and her partner are saving up for a house now. So hopefully they get settled down and have a great old time. And that's what you've got to look forward to, seeing that little girl turn into a brilliant young woman, or have you got a son, or
Yeah.
or that snotty nosed little lad turning into being a brilliant young man. And the two sons I've got left are absolutely brilliant lads.
Yeah.
Totally different personalities, but they're brilliant lads. They are brilliant lads.
Well, so that's how my kids are. My daughter's going to be 13 next month, and then my two stepsons are adults. Yeah, I'm going into 13 years with her, but she's a good kid. She's a good kid. I always tease her and I say, "You're not going to turn into a rebellious teenager or like be a mean teenager, are you?" She's like, "No, I'll be nice." I said, "Okay, well, I'll hold you to it."
But they need to rebel. They need to rebel. You did, I did, my kids did. You have to rebel. You have to. That's the first part of you becoming an adult. You have to ask why. You have to ask questions. Because if you don't ask why, you don't ask them questions, you'll never learn.
Exactly.
Things like that. I used to go drinking underage. I know it's. I think how old do you have to be doing in America? 25, is it, to have a drink?
It's 21. Yeah.
21. Well, in this country, it's 18. I was in the pubs at 15.
Oh wow.
I learned how to handle alcohol. Now, a lot of the pubs I used to go drinking in, a lot of the lads, a lot of the people who I went to school with, their dads were drinking in there, so they kept an eye on us. So when me and my mate had a few too many, you two home, we'll see you next week. We learned how to handle alcohol. Now, I'm not saying I was, I came home in some states. I think my mother and father were pulling their hair out of me at one point, but I learned how to drink by rebelling, breaking the law.
Yeah.
I won't bother to things like that. But now, I can have a drink or I can't. Yeah, I'll have a drink or I don't. But that's it. I rebelled. Started smoking, drinking, and everything like that. But say I'm still here, and through these experiences, I think it's made me a more well-rounded person.
I get that.
They said the thing is, as they're saying it, never bring the police to the door. I never brought the police to my parents' door. My kids have never brought the police to mine. They have rebelled, but they've never got on the wrong side of the law. Or if they are on the wrong side of the law, they've never got caught. So I don't know if that's,
Exactly.
That's my way of thinking. And if there's any kids listening, please listen to your parents because they know best.
Listen to your mom and dad, or the parental figure.
Anybody who's got should we say not authority, who look after you and are trying to guide you through this weird and wonderful world. Listen to them. I'm an old man harping on what I did when I was a kid, and when you kids do it, when you kids get to my age, you'll be doing that. But as I say, don't do what I say at home, because sometimes you could get caught and end up with a criminal record, and I don't want to be responsible for it.
Yeah,
I made a choice. Luckily, I came to the other side. Sometimes people aren't so lucky.
Yep. Is there any more songs that you'd like to play? Like, I know that this is an hour show, but it's very easy going show. It can go over an hour. I just go with the flow of things.
Well, what I'll do is the song what I was intentionally going to do first, but you asked me for one. When you would say American Limp, I was going to start off with this Pete Seeger song, because if you want a protest song, this is, to me, the most perfect protest song ever written. Simple, but it's to the point. And everybody knows it, so it's probably one of the first songs I learned how to sing all the way through, because it's so simple. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone for young men, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone for soldiers, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever? Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. Oh, when will they ever? Oh, when will they ever?
Thank you. That was really well played.
Thank you. Whew. You have to be careful with that one because you have to remember the story because then you get all mixed up.
Yeah. I can understand that. Well, I really, really appreciate, you bringing this idea for today's show to me. I think hopefully I've done it justice and, did a good job with the topics of today's show.
Yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed the as we say, the chinwag over it. And if anybody, young people, listen to your show, it's go out there and find the music. It doesn't come to you; you have to find it.
Mhm.
You find it through. Always listen to that the cool kid at school who's got all the records, or whether it's CDs or streams now. Find them ones out when you ever start high school. Find the cool kids with all the music, because that's where you find the good songs, and that's where your journey will start. Now, it doesn't matter if you're into hip hop, pop music, folk music, like I'm into, heavy metal, rock and roll. There's always a cool kid who's got every record. That's the one you find, and that's how you learn. That's how I did.
Yeah, exactly. And the original version of this show, the Jam Session, like I said, it was on radio, and it was on WQUB 90.3 FM, Quincy, Illinois. Basically, I played all sorts of music on there. I didn't stick with one style. I played punk rock music on there. I played jazz music on there. I played all sorts of music on there because I think it's important for people to experience a variety of styles and a variety of, musicians. And that, there again, is why music's the universal language.
Yeah. Really, really universal. It's well, imagine a world without music. Could you imagine that? No music. What would fill in the blank spaces?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to imagine a world without music. It would be a pretty boring existence.
Yeah. It's how music filters into everything. You watch a television program. There's music in the background to build up the atmosphere, the acting. The same with the film, the movies or films as we call them. Music's a big part of how we live our lives.
Yeah.
You go to church, you sing hymns. If you work, you're in the house with the radio on, you sing along to the radio, doing your ironing or whatever you're doing, digging the garden, whatever. It's how important music is. It's sort of it plays on every emotion. It gets you to think, dance, question. It's ever since the first caveman came home and decided to put a skin over or something and hit it. That probably was the first protest song. I've had a bloody bad day today.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get any food, love. And and from then we progressed. Like everything with humanity, at its best, we progress and get better.
Yeah.
And I think music makes people better.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic, and it really helps us through our everyday lives. Like, if I'm having a bad day, before I even get to work, I will pop in a CD into the CD player of my car and just listen to whatever, and it helps me. It helps me have a better day.
Yeah. If you need to, I play a sport called walking football over in this country. It's for the older gentlemen. We can only walk, we can't run anymore. But sometimes before I go do some training or play a game, I'll put an upbeat, basically like a Scottish rock band on or something like that, all bagpipes, and like I'm going into battle. That's basically what I am. I'm going into battle. Like I'm going to have a game of football with the lads, and music brings you up. And it's just like at the end of the day, probably tonight after I finish this session with you, it's like this evening where I am, ladies and gentlemen. I'll probably go out in the backyard and put some nice music on, have a whiskey, and just relax in the freezing cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, music helps with everything. Like, it helps people to sleep. Sometimes people listen to music when they are trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Music is a very, very powerful tool, and I wouldn't want to imagine life without it. Is there anything else that you would like to mention? Projects that you're working on, or anything you'd like to mention before we wrap up the show?
I'm bit in limbo at the moment with projects, and let's say I've written a new album which I will get around to record when I get the funds together. I'm doing a charity gig in my hometown for a movement I'm involved with, taken from a lyric from a Pete Seeker song again. We're called We Shall Overcome. And it was a brainchild of a friend of mine in 2010 when the present government we got in this country came back into power and started messing the country up again. I didn't know what a food bank was until this government came in. I didn't realise we had them, where people go when they can't afford food and things like that. So my good friend, who's no longer with us, came up with this idea that artists of all capabilities, musicians, poets, artists, and everything like that, we pool our talents together to help raise funds or get food in or practical things for people who are less fortunate than us. In the last, 2010, 13, 14 years, we've raised over £166,000 in money. God knows how many tons of food we've collected, how many pairs of socks have been donated to the homeless charities and things like that. It's been a good thing, and it was, as I say, my friend came up with the idea, and it's been going for 14 years. So I'll be organising my hometown's events in December in one of our pubs in the town, which we're doing it for the homeless charity in this town called Teardrops. And basically, if anybody from America who wants to, who's in England at the time, in St Helens at the time, it's at the Turk's Head pub, and your entrance fee is basically just bring a toy for a kid to get in to watch the music. There's me and two other artists on, and so the entrance fee is a toy for the toy appeal or something practical for the homeless charity which runs this toy appeal. A couple of pairs of socks, a couple of tins of food, sleeping bags, coats, you name it. If it's help, bring it. You'll be duly entertained and everything. All the artists are doing it for free. It's all for the charity. So I've done, well, it's been 13, 14 years with COVID in between. I've done every one, all around the local towns. I've played at every. I've actually, there's been a We Shall Overcome. From the years it started, I've actually performed at every one. And that's what I'm. I'm doing it in memory of me mate who set it up, but I'm also doing it for the people of my local area, because you probably see it on your streets. They see it on how the world can go wrong and go bad.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it's due to government policy.
Yeah.
Not the individual. It's people landing the wrong side of government policy. And to me, it's time it stopped. We need to start voting in intelligent people to pull both our countries out of the crap we're in at the moment, because we deserve better.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I definitely agree with that 100%. I'll have you, if you don't mind, give me the links to everything that you talked about, your son's band and the charity, and I can put them in the description whenever I upload the show for people to watch. As always, it has been a pleasure to have you on my show. Thank you so much for being here, and you are more than welcome to be on my show anytime that you would like to be on my show. And I appreciate the idea of today's show that you came up with. I think it's interesting.
You can use it with a few other guests when they come on.
Yeah. That would work. I know people all over, not just in the United States, not in England. I know people who live in Tasmania. I know people from all over.
Tasmania. We used to send our convicts there.
I'll have to let him know that.
That's how Tasmania started. It's all the criminal fraternity from England.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I appreciate it, and I hope you do come back. And yeah, that's pretty much it for those who are going to be watching this in the audience. Thank you for viewing the show, for watching the show. And I have to give a shout out to my executive producer of the show, my friend, Madeline Monitz. She's always supportive of my shows, and she's always encouraging me for these shows. So I have to give a shout out to her, and shout out to Martin Williams for being on today's show and for coming up with the idea. Until next time, catch you all on the flip side.
All it's supposed to feel.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but
How's it supposed to feel?